Dharma is your duty to your own soul. Dollars make bigger dharmas doable. Make the most of your spins around on planet Earth. Welcome to the Dharma and Dollar Show with your hostess with the mostest, Cate Stillman. If you're repulsed by money, success, P&L statements, productivity hacks, don't listen. Stick to the Yoga Healer Body Thrive episodes released every Monday. But if you yearn for money talk, investments for your activism, real numbers in real time, if you want to get greedy for the good of all, stick around. And ask yourself before we begin, what do you want to make happen next?
Hello, it's Cate Stillman with the Dharma and Dollar Show. And on today's show, I talk with a long-term course member and friend, Carrie Seitz from Haley, Idaho. She pinged me that she was going to be in the Tetons and asked if I wanted to go mountain biking. And of course I said yes. And she's so much fun to hang out with. So we start riding Mill Creek, which is a pretty steep trail. And it's about a 2.5 hour loop. And it's a couple, 1,000 feet in elevation. And about, quarter way in, she signed up for yoga health coaching. And she's asking me, she's like, I'm not sure if this is a good fit. Like, I'm not into yoga. I don't teach yoga. Like, that's not my deal. What this show is a result of is a lot of that conversation on the bike ride. And then we sat down and actually had a coaching session based on it. And one of the things that I just want to bring up is when we name something, like I named yoga health coaching, it kind of brands it, right? It brings it into a certain population that's attracted, and it also creates a certain repulsion. Right. And I've often thought of I'd like to actually create Body Thrive coaching based on the same 10 habits, based on the same principles, based on all the same concepts, but not with the stigma or the identification or the cultural baggage, whether from East or West, of yoga. And I love yoga, and I love a lot of that cultural identification. And so it just begets a really interesting question. But anyways, I'm kind of detracting. In this episode today, you are going to find it super helpful if you are trying to figure out how to tap into your Dharma and just where it's going in the next chapter of your life. I give you a 5-word exercise, and you'll hear me coach Carrie through it. So without further ado, let's begin.
Do you want to have a conversation about your wellness career? Sometimes it's hard to find someone who actually knows something about advancing a wellness career in your friend group or in your peer group. And that's why at yogahealer.com and yogahealthcoaching.com, we take it seriously. Like, we really want to see wellness leaders and yoga teachers and body workers and holistic practitioners, as well as doctors and nurses who have a wellness mindset. We want to see you thrive. So you can go to yogahealthcoaching.com/have-a-conversation and sign up, and you can talk to my very own Grace Edison. Like, I'm claiming you, Grace. You are mine. You can talk to Grace about your wellness career, and she can point you to resources that we have within our site. She can give you some advice. And if you're a good fit for one of our programs, she can let you know which one we can recommend so that you get the results that you're looking for. So if you really just want to sit down and have a conversation with someone who gets it about your wellness career, go to yogahealthcoaching.com/have-a-conversation. Grace is an awesome person to talk to. You're going to love it. Take that appointment very seriously so you get the most out of it. Have a conversation.
So it's Cate, and I'm here in the green room in Alta, Wyoming with Carrie Seitz, who you first took Living Ayurveda course with me. And first of all, we met as sort of like ski bums moved to mountain towns types in probably around 2001. And then you came to Living Ayurveda course, and now you're wanting to work for yourself, and you've done a lot of personal healing journey and vision quest journey, and you're coming into yoga health coaching. But really, one of the things I wanted to address, first off, is we talked about yesterday on our mountain bike ride, is how it's if we consider it more Body Thrive coaching, of just coaching people through the 10 habits and then developing your own body of work off that platform of getting people's habits stabilized, that it kind of has a different feel to it than the feel of yoga health coaching, which is all the yoga teachers. So I want to rebrand it so that we keep yoga health coaching, but we also bring in Body Thrive coaching for people who just don't have that connection to yoga or that connection to Ayurveda, but still can really benefit their communities by coaching people through just the basic habits that are rooted in Ayurveda.
Yeah, because honestly, that kind of intimidated me because I am not a yoga instructor. I'm not, quote unquote, in the wellness field currently, but I have a vision for something that I think could help people. And so when I think about when it was redefined about what actually the health coaching is and could be, that aligned with what I thought could actually benefit my business.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, because at the end of the day, like what you were saying is like, I want to help people thrive. And you want to help particularly people who are in crisis, who are in like a breakdown situation, whether it's relational breakdown, job breakdown, body breakdown, trauma for whatever reason.
And just transitions in their life. Like they don't actually have to be having an existential crisis, but they're in the middle of
an existential opportunity.
Yeah.
They're having an existential
opportunity.
I think that you should call it that. Existential opportunities.
Yeah. Well, did you know that
Carrie.
Crisis and opportunity in the Chinese language, the actual, it's the same
the etymology
word. The same word is crisis and opportunity, the same symbol.
That makes perfect. That makes perfect. You know, I used to have to write Hanzi in college. I had to like write those Chinese characters. Yeah, I was in Chinese for a long time. And it was amazing to see the roots of those words in pictorial form and how there's so much depth to meaning. And when you get that, like, oh, if a crisis, if you do and it's not even a reframe, it's just a frame. Like, oh, the universe is presenting me or I'm presenting me with a shakedown or a shakeup. And when this happens, anything's possible. And anything's always possible. But when we're in an easygoing plane in life and things are sort of clicking and working together, we tend to keep doing the same things as opposed to seeing like, oh my gosh, I can do anything. I can move. I can develop new relationships. I can develop different habits in my day-to-day life.
Yeah. And I think leading up to that, like the reason why I got into why the shift between crisis and opportunity happened is when I was taking your Body Thrive course, I was in the crisis mode when I started. When I first started Body Thrive, I was definitely in a crisis, and that's what brought me to Body Thrive because I was in a transition, going from having an injury, moving out of a relationship, and the crisis actually brought me into searching out something that could really help me get through this. And halfway through the course, I realized it's actually not a crisis. It's an opportunity for something else and something greater. And so those habits are definitely the springboard for anything that, I'm trying to create, anyone is trying to create. The only reason I feel like I accessed those ideas, those basically bringing together everything that I've ever experienced in my life, which I've been so grateful. It's been really rich. And having this light bulb go off, like I can share all of this that I have learned over the years with other people.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, because you have all this experience guiding, bringing people into wilderness experiences that they wouldn't otherwise have. You have experience growing teenagers into leaders with a nonprofit that was devoted to entrepreneurial leadership or young adults. Young adults, not teenagers. They might seem like teenagers at times. They're young adults.
They seem younger than me, for sure.
and then you've got, just experience with like marketing and social media and outreach and whatnot. And so when you look forward to like, I want to work for myself. I want to help people that are in existential opportunities. When you think of like, how can I do it in a way that's authentic to me and uniquely mine? Like what is that? What would that be like? Like one of the things I want to point to is like when we start to own this, we do become we brand. We'll just call it existential opportunities. So like we brand it on our personality, because if we're at the helm of the company, like we will be the face of it, right? And so what experience we consistently provide just through being us in the best of ourselves, in the uniqueness of ourselves, if we can identify that and speak that, then other people who are looking for that can connect with that. Even if it's just like in the yogic term, there's this word bhavana, even if it's just that like feeling experience, but then you can put words to it. Like joy feels different than happiness, feels different than enthusiasm, which feels different than curiosity. Those are all different bhavanas. So if we can find those adjectives that describe us, that we can actually make a stand for, like, this is who I want to be, to these people that are needing some body stability as they move through their existential opportunity, who need some grounding, right? Who need to get solid in some certain habits so that other opportunities start to become available. Because if we're not grounded in our body habits, those opportunities aren't available. There's too much chaos. There's too much complexity. There's not enough energetic integrity in our bodies. Like, things just get way, way, way harder and confusing, and the emotional body's a freaking mess. Right. And so it's harder to see the opportunity, and then we just see the stress and the crisis, and it's like downward spiral.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you're like, okay, I'm going to make a stand to help bring people out of that into stability, and then into the beyond, like into really what is the opportunity and where they're going in the direction of that. Who in your personal, as you make yourself into a personal brand, like, who are you? Who do you want to make yourself into? And it's almost like a persona of yourself. It's almost like it's the out front guy or gal of the brand. And you can design that. So I'm curious, is like, what comes to mind as
yeah, what comes to mind is, first of all, getting people grounded. And I think that I could be like a conduit for that through giving them inspiration from the wild, inspiration from nature, inspiration from actually feeling connected again to something that they maybe have never even been connected to, or that they are now experiencing for the first time, and bringing them to that place where they can actually be still, be silent, unplug, all of that, which I feel is so important in today's society, where we are so overprogrammed, and we're, on our cell phones and on the internet, and there's so many wonderful things to that, but I think we need some kind of, it's almost like our nervous system needs to get away from all of it so we can listen to what our mind, body, and spirit is telling us.
Yeah. So in that, and it's cool because you can hear the replay of this, but you just listed a whole series of adjectives, and those are then the descriptors of the of the brand. And you can then zone in, and there's this exercise we do in yoga health coaching with coaches to help them identify their 5 words. And so like, if I were to like just repeat back 5 of those words, that would be like, okay, these are the 5 words that everything in the brand, everything on the website, anything in any sort of communication, any sort of experience that we're going to have, people would describe it in these 5 words. Like, people would have an experience of these 5 words. So you said grounded, wild, unplugged. Those are 3 that popped out. Inspired. Yep. Inspirational or inspired. Yep. And what were some of the other ones? There's one about connected. That was the other one, was connected. And then there's one at the end when you said listening. And to me, that's receptivity, right? But I would probably go with connected. So even if you just thought like, okay, of all those different ones, are there a few more? You know what I mean? If you actually did it as an exercise, like, you'd say, okay, I'm going to get 20 words down here. And then I'm going to find the 5 that I most consistently show up as, or that I most want to be. It can be either, because you can grow into it. Right. And then you circle those, and then now you have descriptors, so you can start to make choices. Should I do this or that? Well, you run it by your 5 words. And if it aligns with the 5 words, it's in. And if it doesn't, it probably needs to be tweaked or adjusted to be in. So then it's also description. Like, in working with me, you will have an experience where you become more grounded and more wild, or more wildly authentic to your spirit. Right? You will become more connected to yourself, but also to other people that are inspirational. You know what I mean? And all of a sudden it's like, we just took the same words, but now we turned it into an experience someone else will have through working with us, just by knowing that this is who we are without trying. Isn't that a trip?
That's a trip. I like that. Yeah. Just having, I think it's going to be super helpful going into this course, just because I can do a lot of brainstorming, but to have these really practical ways of putting it into form and shape is really what I'm looking for, because I feel like I need that guidance. I need that way.
Well, we all do.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys, an FYI, like that exercise I picked up from Chip Conley, who wrote Emotional Equations, he was the mentor for the Airbnb guys over the last 5 or so years. Before then, he's had a number of boutique hotels. I can't remember the name of his brand. And every time he would take an old rundown hotel or whatever, and he turned it into this like super cool, super popular boutique hotel, he would do that. He would basically, the first thing they would do is like the 5 words that would represent everything that would go in that hotel, and everything, and every employee would have to represent those 5 words in their natural state. Mm-hmm. Every like piece of furniture, every communication, every detail down to the lighting, etc., would have to be in alignment with that. And then it would attract people that naturally were wanting that experience.
So it's like integrated branding.
It's integrated branding.
Yeah. Cool.
So the next component of, especially for someone who's gone from working with others or working on smaller independent projects to having a business where you have income targets and really want to make it work and want to make it scalable, right? Which is part of why a lot of people come into the program. There can often be a lot of psychological opportunities.
Not crisis,
not problems, not challenges, but opportunities that kind of come in terms of comparing ourselves to others or self-worth or whatnot. And one of the things that I have found over time, and especially in my own life, is the more I'm authentic to knowing that my experience has a lot of value and that I have a lot of care or desire to help other people. And if I focus on those 2 things, and then I'm really true to my words, like those, which part of mine are like green and thrive and inspire, like things that I naturally orient towards. Wild is another one of mine, which is why I talk about like wild, like eating wild invasives. And it was funny, actually. I met Donna Farhi. She invited me to her retreat. She's a famous yoga teacher, and we hung out a little bit. And she goes, "Cate, I didn't expect you to be so wild." And I'm like, "Well, yep, that's me." You know what I mean? But it's like when we start to see that there's intrinsic value to both our experiences and our skill sets, and we start to get really clear on like, okay, these are our skills. Which for you have a lot of skills in guiding, in leadership training, and bringing people outside of their own boxes, and developing organizational structures and organic gardening. And also just then you bring in just who you match up the skills, and that's like on one side of the paper. And then on the other side of the paper is like how you just naturally show up, like what your friends always tell you is a reliable experience. And then you add on something like the Body Thrive habits or being coached into a curriculum, right? A consistent curriculum that is for many yoga health coaches just a building block or a starting platform to then develop their own body of work. And it just gives them the economic, the business model, the structure, the container, and the other skills to bring themselves out into the world, right? To like actually start to trade based on who they are in the marketplace, right? So with that, when you start to think of yourself as like, whatever your income target is with being something like this next level of like, I want to be self-employed. I want to help these people that are having existential opportunities, like how does that start to look, or what starts to come up?
When we come back, I talk about the 4 aims of yoga and how that really ties into having your needs met and the non-egoic components of Dharma that help you serve yourself, serving the greater good.
If you are a yoga teacher or wellness pro, I have a question for you. Do you want to heed the call of a bigger Dharma? Do you get in cycles where you don't know where to focus next? Do you want to extend your reach, your clout, your influence, your authority, but don't know where to point your attention to make that happen? If so, you are not alone. In fact, Grace Edison, a yoga health coach, and I have just kicked off the Changemaker Challenge. It's a free 10-day course for you to heed the call of your bigger dharma. When you sign up at yogahealthcoaching.com/challenge, you'll get the challenge step by step through a series of 15-minute videos and 15-minute action steps over the course of 10 days. Yes, you need to put in 15 minutes a day, and it will align your focus to heed the call of your bigger dharma. The buzz in the challenge is contagious. You'll connect with other change makers and get direct feedback on our Facebook forum. Sign up for the Changemaker Challenge at yogahealthcoaching.com/challenge. CHALLENGE. It's free. It's getting rave reviews. Get direction on the path to heeding the call of a bigger dharma. Again, go to yogahealthcoaching.com/challenge. It's free, it's great, and only for a limited time.
Yeah. That is what I want to get out of this course more than anything, is really understanding what the potential is and what realistic goals I can set for myself. I want to, personally be able to support myself and my son and go on vacations and feel like money is not a stress in my life. And so, I feel like, but what are those numbers? That's what I want to have more of a grasp about, in terms of what I need and what I want. And so,
Yeah. It's it's funny too, like the practicality side. Like sometimes it's interesting. A lot of business training that I've had, like you actually toss practicality to the wind, because that's one of those things of the opportunity of like getting out of the box. But a lot of people get, it's scary because then it causes us to have to stretch beyond who we've been before. But that's exactly what we want.
Upper limit problem.
Bounce your head off the ceiling again.
Yeah.
But like, that's exactly what we want people to do that we're going to work with. Right? Is like, we want them to stretch beyond their current patterning. Right. We want them to stretch into new behaviors and new ways of showing up and new kinds of relationships and new sorts of relationship agreements with their own potentiality. And to me, there's this really fascinating parallel with that of like, oh, how can I intentionally reach for something that's beyond my comfort zone? Because knowing that if I can do this, I'm going to go through an experiential process and be so much more able to guide other people through going beyond their own comfort zones.
Yeah, that's exciting to me, because I do want to be stretched. I do want to have that feeling. I mean, even just having this conversation, I'm feeling uncomfortable.
Yeah, totally. You're like, but it's pretty tough to be in the green room, you guys.
You should see the green room. The green room is sweet. This whole place is sweet. But yeah, this is good because I'm already out of my comfort zone. The minute, money and goals come up, it's an upper limit problem for me. I think that I, even doing some ancestral work that I did through the Body Thrive course, just realizing like women in my family were not expected to make money. They were expected to be part of, supporting the man that makes the money and running the household and, very traditional roles. So, but obviously I want to go beyond that. And I already have, in my own way, but I want to expand my potential in that regard. And so having some guidance is going to be great.
Yeah. So one of like the flips I like to do on that is like, what if everything you want, the universe actually wants of you? So you as evolution, just by nature of having desire, like a good intrinsic desire of like, this desire is based on you using your accumulated skillfulness. I mean, you're almost 50 years old. Like you've got a shit ton of life experience of like helping other people in various ways. Right. And then you're like, what's the most innovative? And you're kind of asking evolution itself. It's like, what do you want to do with me and lead me through desire? And part of the desire is financial independence. Maybe it's wealth. Maybe it's abundance in multiple ways. And then maybe it's leadership in a different model for your son or, whatever. Right. There's all these different ways. Maybe it's even inspiring other women to break through their own glass ceilings eventually, as you do, And so any of those desires that comes up, Like, what if it's depersonalized? It's not you wanting, but it's actually you in the most depersonalized, just you as evolution. There's no Carrie now. There's just evolution showing up in human form, and this is what it wants next. Does that take out some of that fear vibration?
Yeah, it takes out the ego.
Yeah, knocks the ego down. Where'd that go? Or it absorbs it.
Yeah, yeah, more absorbs.
And then is it a different vibration?
It is. It's it doesn't feel as intense.
Yeah. Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
I need to do that a lot. Because I try to raise, I don't try to raise. Every year I raise I raise the ceiling. I try to do it by at least 50%.
Does it still feel uncomfortable to you?
Yeah.
Every time?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. New skills.
Yeah.
Every time, new skills. Every single time. There's new stretch. There's like stretch marks with every, it's like these invisible. Thank gosh, don't leave lines on my thighs. But, but yeah. But to me, that's part of what is, that's why I do what I do, is because if this is just the nature of growth and change and depth and connectivity and human evolution and planetary thrive, like if this is just the nature of that, I better master it and help others master that. And so whatever little tricks and skills of like the 5 words of the consistent experience or the depersonalization of desire, when it really is for a greater good, and you get that, you're like, it's a non-egoic desire. And it takes care of the egoic needs. Right. Which to me is like, that's part of yogic philosophy, the 4 aims, where you have artha, kama, dharma, moksha. And artha is like, you have a roof over your head and food on your table. And kama is like, you're having a good time, a good enough time. Like you're not in pain. And dharma is purpose and moksha is liberation. It's like, it's all meant to work together. So you're supposed to have your needs met. That's not an egoic thing. And even in my experience, to have more than you need to do whatever you want with, like a lot of my excess artha can go into fueling more dharma, and not just my dharma, but dharma in terms of helping others into leadership. You know what I mean? And so that helps tremendously. It's like, it's knowing your big why. And that's how a lot of business trainings will do. It's like, know your why, know why you're doing it in the most absolute experience of it. Like write that down, put it on the wall, like wherever your computer is, like so that you remind yourself that whatever you're doing is for that. And then the fear will also, it's like, why you're making a stand for what you know and your experiences, and you're shape shifting the curriculum into one that will meet your desired kind of person to work with in a way that they can receive it through you. And that's why it has to be your 5 words. That's why, like, you and I would never deliver the same experience because we have totally different backgrounds. I don't know how to take people down a river. Like, I can take myself down pretty good. I'd like someone else to carry my stuff. But, like it's totally different. And once you're like, oh, this is who I am, and this is the kind of experience that'll help, I know will help people in this existential opportunity land.
Yeah. Well, and what I like about what you just said is that there's really no endpoint.
No, and
it's like circular. It's
spiral.
It's not this, from the bottom to the top. It keeps going and going and going and going and going, and there's no end point. And just hearing that, that you don't have any endpoints. It's always been a spiral. And yeah, I'm blown away that you still you're still getting out of your comfort zone.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. Well, I think for me, it's definitely part of my coming into the path of entrepreneurship from the path of yoga.
Right.
So now my path of yoga is simply like my yoga is the path of entrepreneurship. Just knowing that that's the easiest way for me to scale impact. It's not through me having like there's some amazing scholarly yogas. Like I'm not a scholarly yogi. It was great. I was talking with some of you may have heard the show with Shunya, Acharya Shunya, who's this incredible Dharma teacher and living Ayurvedic lineage master. Her family has 900 years of Ayurvedic lineage consecutive. And she's like, you are the yogi of the marketplace. And she's like, and thank gosh. She's like, and she's also like, you're a warrior. you know, you're a warrior yogi, which is another one of these caste types from the old system, but I'm not a saintly yogi. And just her honoring me for that, of just seeing that, like, hey, and you don't have to be a saintly yogi. Like, we got enough of them. Like, it's so important that you're like the warrior of the marketplace. Yeah. And there's that sense of like, when we are authentic to who we are, we can stretch that part of the curve. So for you to bring people that are really disconnected from nature and going through and really in crisis, you know, or in a lot of discomfort, which they may or may not name as crisis. They might name it as severe depression. They might name it as a life that is devoid of deeper meaning. They might name it as a disconnection from their own desire, which can be disconnection from their own will. Like, they can be broken, you know? And then it's like, how do you put Humpty Dumpty back together again? You know, and just helping them rebuild through who you are, through that connection to nature that you have found, that, you know, getting people outside, stretching their experience by being on a vision quest or being, you know, in the elements for an extended period of time.
And having a light and fun experience too. Like, I envision half of it being pretty intense, deep work, and the other half being goofy fun. You know,
oh, so there's more words. So then you got to get those words in there, because then it's going to match up. You're like goofy, fun, lighthearted. Yeah. You know what I mean? So if you're going to pull in, so that's good.
It has to be that, because that's who I am.
Because that's, perfect. It's like having, great. Any other questions for me, or are we good? It feels pretty, we talked about a lot.
Yeah, we did talk about a lot. Spontaneity.
Yeah. And I'm excited to see what, as you like journal your words and your skills and your, you know what I mean? So you've got like these words of your natural personality and then this list of your skills, how you kind of shape shift that in Body Thrive coaching.
Yeah, great. Thank you. I'm really looking forward to it.
You'll listen back to this recording in 5 years and be like, oh my God.
If this show is resonating with you and you're in a place like Carrie where you're sensing that the next chapter of your life is very original and it's quite different than what you've done before, and it synergizes the different components of yourself. And if you want a free training on how to start to activate that potential, check out the Yoga Health Coaching Changemaker Challenge. It's free. It's at yogahealthcoaching.com/challenge. And in that forum, we can be a little bit more interactive, and you can tell me what you're wanting to do and get some feedback and also get some practices around how to sense into that potential. All right. I hope this show's been interesting and helpful. If you are interested in doing a show like this, a coaching session, email podcast@yogahealer.com and send me what you're thinking about what kind of session you would want to do on the Dharma and Dollars show, and I'll get back with you. Have a good one, y'all.
Yoga Healer Real Life Show with Cate Stillman. Yoga Healer.